Despite being only 5 years removed from their Stanley Cup, it feels like an eternity ago for St. Louis fans. After missing the playoffs for the first time since that cup, the Blues and their fans are hoping that they can get back on the right track and back to their winning ways. A lot of fans out there are ready to play Gloria one more time, but I am not one of them. St. Louis Blues, here's why I hate your stupid fucking team.
I never heard of half of these guys, and the ones I do know are way past their prime.
Most of these guys never had a prime.
This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then.
Last year was truly the end of an era as St. Louis traded away the last two remaining big pieces, Ryan O'Reilly and Vlad Tarasenko, from that Stanley Cup team. They still have a lot of pieces remaining from that cup run, but those two guys, along with Alex Pietrangelo, were really the big mainstays that helped to lead that team, and with them all gone, the organization's kind of in no man's land. What's left is a bunch of name-brand players without the production to warrant their price tags. Guys on the back end like Justin Falk, Nick Leddy, and Torrey Krug sound like they should be elite defensemen and they're getting paid like it, but their production, especially in the last few years, hasn't matched that. Up front, it's a lot of middle six guys like Rob Thomas, Pavel Buchnevich, Brandon Saad, who are being thrust into top six roles. But don't worry, Blues fans, they went out this offseason and reloaded with another middle six guy in Kevin Hayes. There's also a bunch of reclamation projects like Kasperi Kapanen and Jakub Vrana, young guys like Jake Neighbors and Jordan Kyrou, and the everlasting gobstopper that is Braden Shen. Number one defenseman Colton Parayko has been locked up long term, and he is justifying that cap hit, rounding out a pretty good but not elite defensive core. But if you want to know what's really holding back this Blues team, it's the guy in goal, Jordan Binnington. More toxic than a hard-suck Valorant player, ever since leading his team to the Stanley Cup, Binnington cashed in with a massive contract and proceeded to get worse and worse every single year since. He's had a GAA around 3 and a save percentage around 90 the last 2 years, making that $6 million price tag an absolute albatross of a contract. They do have a promising prospect there in 23-year-old Joel Hofer, but the big question is, will the coaches have the sack to take the net away from Binnington and give it to the young kid?
Anybody got an idea?
Former tough guy Craig Berube, who is pictured here as the hard-ass chain-smoking detective who is about to get killed in a horror movie. Berube came into St. Louis in 2019 and promptly washed the stink of him being a bad coach off by leading the Blues to a cup win. Since then, he's led teams that have been good in the regular season but not so good in the playoffs. Clearly feeling the heat, Berube decided to fire his two assistant coaches and replace them with two guys who aren't even old enough to run for president. With the way this team is constructed though, this might be a situation of the Blues deciding to burn it all down and rebuild if they miss the playoffs again, which doesn't seem to be out of the realm of possibility. In that regard, who knows how much of a leash Berube is going to get and whether he is even game to stick around in the event there is a long-term rebuild. I think Berube is a good coach, maybe not a great one, and I could absolutely see St. Louis moving on if they decide that they want to go full scorched earth.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the new guy.
The only real notable move in the offseason was that the Blues were the one team willing to bite the bullet and take on Kevin Hayes' awful contract. At a 50% discount, that's a lot more palatable, but expect for Hayes to play basically the same role in St. Louis he did in Philadelphia, middle six guy and black hole of possession. In the draft, St. Louis took Dalibor Dvorsky at 10th overall and Otto Stenberg at 25th. Fair value for both picks. Neither of them, though, is expected to play for the big club this year in a meaningful way, and it doesn't really look like there's going to be an injection of youth into this team with any major prospects looking to step up.
You gay Irish fireman, you're okay, but you I do not like.
I do acknowledge that the Blues are in a bit of a tricky situation just in terms of their core's age and being in sort of an arrested development of where the organization should be. They did the right thing last year selling at the deadline and getting back some good value, and they have some good young pieces on the roster like Rob Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. They probably need another draft to reset and reload the roster and clear out some of the vets who aren't going to be here long term, and I think it's going to be rough for the next year or two. But I also think the Blues know where they are, and they are working actively to not prolong the inevitable and make the right moves.
All right, Raven. You really told that Shelly off.
I think it's going to be another playoff miss, unfortunately. The roster's just lost too much talent over the years to survive, and they're probably going to ship out guys like Blaze, Vrana, and maybe even Buchnevich or Saad if they get good value. If they're really lucky, someone will take Kevin Hayes or Jordan Binnington off their hands. The big question, is Craig Berube going to be here after the year? My gut says no, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong because I think he is a decent head coach.
Shendevrana wide open, and he scores! 21 seconds in, the Blues win